So we've seen today earlier how you can use technical structures on steel, detailing, fabrication, also precast and rebars. So next phase in the process is of course the construction phase. And then let's see how we can use the BIM model in different Trimble tools for support your project and construction management. So of course, project essentials are of course the cost, schedule and scope, most important things when we start doing the project. And then we can see how we can get the cost from the BIM models and how we can do some change management. Again, the 3D model of the BIM model will help all the project parties to understand what is the most cost from the structure. And of course, then the scheduling part, so how to ensure that we will keep on our schedule and hit the target. So this triangle tries to show that these three things go in hand. For example, if we have less costs in our project, we don't have the budget, we need to lower a little bit our budget, we need to think about it, should we lower the quality or should we do it a little bit quicker? Or if we lower our quality, we can increase our quality, we need to have some more money or time to do it. And normally, of course, people are waiting that we can do fast, good and cheap, but that's not always possible. So like I already showed you that many of the projects are over budget or late. So this is the standard of construction business. But should it be, and is there some new tools for making sure about the budget and the schedule? And if we even look a little bit more detailed, if we concentrate on the construction side, this is Skanska Finland research about how is the time usage on site. And we can see from this chart that only 30% of the project, what they're doing on site is actually productive work. So they are waiting some materials, getting information from the documents, or moving all the materials or tools to the right location. So only 30% of the time that they're working, they're really working. Let's start with one case example. So this is in Finland, a logistics center, quite a huge project. So that's why there was 2 main contractors and 2 fabricators and many factories. And of course, there was 2 main things in this huge project was that the frame should be erected on time, and the MEP is quite advanced because there are robots and advanced mechanical systems to taking care of all the storages. And of course there was a fixed deadline because it's actually also I think largest freezer in Scandinavia. So half of the Finnish food will be stored in this logistics center. So what they decided before the project that they want to make sure that the schedule of the frame will stay on time, and this is how they did and what kind of tools they used. So they used general scheduling. They used a Vico tool for that. And here you can see again that there's the standard Gantt chart on the left side, and then there's the flow line on the right side. So they're actually from the same schedule. The only thing is that the view is a little bit different. And I will show a video later on what's the idea with the flow line, what's the benefit for using that. But they did the general scheduling with Vico. And with technical structures, they did the weekly planning. So here we can see a video how they have planned their weekly installations on construction site. So all the green precast elements are those that they are planning to install in that specific week. So this was the planning phase. But okay, let's see what happens now. So actually the most important part is then supply chain management, that they want to make sure that everything is on time and they are not following only the installation. These are in Finnish because these are real material from that project, so I didn't translate them. But this is installation situation, the status last year. You can see the date there. So the green ones are already installed. The yellow ones are ahead, and the red ones are late. So they can immediately see that what's happening in the project. And these kind of visualization they show to the owner. So this is made from Skanska together with fabricators and the designers. So everyone in the project could easily see what's happening, are we on time? This is their next week or week schedule, like I showed, weekly plan. These are probably more important and good to see. So this is the fabrication status. You can see also the date. So again, there's the installation of the crate. Then these maybe blue ones or green ones, these are already fabricated, but on the factory. And then yellow ones are fabricated ahead on time. And we can see that the magenta, these ones are late. So again, they can easily see in one view what's the situation on the factory. And then the buffer for next week installation, they would see that these are actually those precast elements that are not yet fabricated but should be installed on next week. So there might be a risk that they don't get enough precast elements and they will need to stop the work. And I think in this project there was like 200 workers on site, and we know that it's really quite expensive to, stop the work. Okay. And by the way, this project, there was 60 mobile device users. They used old product called Tekla Field3D, and they gave that to the old subcontractors, the net installation guys. So 60 persons of this project always was also using a mobile tool on site. Okay, let's continue with the cost estimation. So again, we showed in the fabrication phase that the most important thing is the 3D model, the BIM model, which will give you the information that you can use in different purposes. In this case, we will get the quantities and then the costs from the model. So here we have, for example, one column, and we have this recipe structure that we know that for one column we need rebars, formwork, concrete, and some surface treatment maybe. And from the model we can calculate all these things. From this column we will get all the needed quantities. Then we also know what do we need for the construction. Do we need how many workers do we need? What kind of resources? What kind of machinery and tools we need? So this kind of recipe library that our company might have, we can then calculate the cost. Here we can see that we are now already taking these locations and getting the quantities based on location. I will come back to that one later. But the most important thing here is that your company knows the market price, and you could get the quantities from here, and then you will get the costs from the model. So again, the information comes from the model. And there's different versions of the cost estimation. You can have this triple SketchUp model. You can see that there's all layers or floors there, and you can get, with big office, you can get the areas of the floors. And you probably know could be an office or residential building. You know how much it costs to build a 1 square meter, for example. So using those areas, floor areas or different spaces, you can get the cost even from this kind of early phase draft model. Then, of course, architectural models, we can get a little bit more detailed information. We got the different kind of room spaces. We know that, for example, this kind of room, it has some kind of cost. It's different than the room upstairs in our hotel rooms. So we can also get some quantities from the structures, the walls, maybe total areas of the walls. But when we go more detail, for example, using technical structures model, we can get kind of construction quantities again. We can get the net and gross volumes or areas from the precast or cast-in-place structures. And let's see how it works then in Vico Office in real life. So here we have all the model objects and different kind of structures. We can see it all the time, the 3D model. We can select there, for example, the inner walls, bearing walls. We can view those. See what kind of quantities are we getting. Then we can choose, okay, these inner walls, do we want to calculate cubic meters or area? What kind of cost do we have those? So, and from the 3D model, we can see even what kind of areas it's calculating. That magenta color is highlighting that this area we are actually now calculating from the BIM objects. Then here we have our company cost database, their market prices, and we just select from the quantity and say, for example, the inner walls that, okay, let's calculate the area this time. And we know the unit price for the 1 square meter of that kind of inner bearing wall. And that's we get the total cost from that structure. And of course, what about changes or different versions? That's probably the most important thing. Here's a handy tool for visualization of the different versions of. Let's think about it that we have the same inner walls and reinforcing bar, the price is getting up. So we have new price for the rebars, and then we can compare two different prices here. With this like traffic light system, we can easily see that, okay, the other one is, well, it's 7%, the price is higher 7% than the other one. And we can find really detail with this traffic light system, where is the difference in this project. And we can easily show to the other project parties that, okay, if you want to use this kind of structure, it costs this much, and compared to this one, it's cheaper or more expensive. So with this tool, you can also create different alternatives or options for structural solutions. And we can also get basic reports that we can compare these two options easily and see which one is more expensive this time. The red color shows you the highlights that which one is more expensive this time. Okay, let's jump forward. So that was the planning then and estimating the cost, and then we start the project and we'll plan the schedule and make sure that our schedule is well planned and it will keep on target. So the same idea that I showed you earlier, and now we can notice that it's really important that we have these locations. So we need to calculate the quantities based on the locations, and actually this Vico Office will do it for you. You just split the model. You can see that now there is 4 zones, 4 sections, and we split the building on different floors. And it will automatically calculate the quantities based on the sections and the floors. And that information then we can use to create the schedule using the flow line scheduling. I will show you next how it works. So this is a simple cartoon that explains how the flow line works and what's the difference with Gantt chart. So we have a project manager, and he has many subcontractors and tasks on this project, and he's using the normal traditional Gantt chart scheduling. So let's see what happens. Here you can see the different locations, and they start working, but on some time they might hit and work actually in the same place. And if these different contractors are working same time in this location, for example here in this room, if the painter is working same time that who's making the walls, so it's not the right way to do it. So let's see. So the project manager is unhappy with this. Okay, so let's change the same schedule and turn it or convert it to the flow line schedule. So it's just a different view from the same schedule. Let's see. Same task, but we have the locations there now, like Ernest showed you earlier. And we can notice immediately. It's kind of visualization, real visual tool for showing the schedule. We can immediately see that there is some of the things are here. There are lines are crossing, so you can see that there are two tasks in same location. So there is a possible risk for doing that. And let's see what happens there. So next we want to optimize the task. We need to first do in a specific order. Then we can see that there is a waste between these lines. So we need to optimize the tasks. Some tasks we need to do a little bit faster, sometimes even a little bit slower. So depending, we need to change the group size, and then we can get, it's kind of trained that we can see that all the tasks are going in the same phase, the same speed. And now we can see that it's kind of trained that goes each location and makes their own task. And no collapses or no response there. So again, it's kind of like a BIM model. You can see in one view, is it a good, what's the schedule, is there risk spots, and you can do it even faster than traditional. So let's see how the schedule is then done using the flow line in Vico Office. At the same time again, here we have the cost structure here on top of left corner. Then we have the tasks on right, and then we have the 3D BIM model on the bottom. Again, we just link costs and tasks, so quantity from model to the task that we're doing. Then we have the Gantt chart also, but we have the flow line here. So we can use both ways if you want. We can use Gantt. Then we have the dependencies, so which order should the task be done. This is of course, the important thing. And what's next? Then we can visualize what we're planning to do, how the building should be built. So just using this 4D simulation, we can see that, okay, this was planned. And we can jump back or forward there, so check that are we on time. Different tasks might have different color here. It's just default colors for the visualization. And one case example is from Sweden, so VSB, who's doing the project management, and they have made research and calculated that they have saved 17% using the location-based flow line scheduling compared to the traditional Gantt chart. And you can find more information from the web if you like to read the whole research and article of this. Okay, but it doesn't stop doing only the general schedule, because that's a high-level schedule. In the project we want to make, like in SAMPO Logistics Center, we want to do more detail level planning. And which I'm doing in Tekla Structures, the weekly or daily level planning. And here's how that can be done. So here in Tekla Structures, we have each element, object, steel, concrete, cast-in-place structure. We have all the objects here. And we can here do the daily level planning. So these green ones should be installed today and the yellow one tomorrow. And we can easily see, for example, in this case, that the order is incorrect. So it's not the correct order. And even for these hollow core slabs, there's something missing. We cannot install it that way. But we can see the whole model, and we can see that, okay, these walls should be installed before the hollow core slabs. So we can easily check that is the erection order in correct way in this. And also, when we have done the weekly or daily level planning in Tekla Structures, like mentioned many times today before, we can take the quantities easily from there. So okay, what we're doing installing next week. This is a cast-in-place example. So we can check and get the cubic meters for the columns and walls, and export to Excel, or then there we can see walls and columns. But the most important thing that we can also get the cast-in-place rebar bending list from here. So we know what rebar should we order or procure for next week. We can see different rebars here. We can view and we can export that to Excel and send it, the order, to the next person. But actually, quite many can do a good schedule and planning phase, but the most important thing is following how the schedule is going, how we're progressing, and doing the controlling work. If we are late, we need to fix that and be faster, or sometimes even we don't need to be too fast because we might hit some other tasks. So let's see how we can do the work progress managing. So let's see, here we have the same model here, and we have the same columns that we had in this one floor. And we have made already the plan. Here we can see the Gantt chart, but we can also add the actual dates. When was this one column, when was it erected? Then we can easily change the setting, and here we can see that the green ones are installed on time, but the red ones are installed late. So again, visual tool for that. And all the time we can see the progress also on Tekla on this Gantt chart. That okay, we started a little bit earlier, but we actually finished a little bit late. And what does that mean then? And we can jump in the calendar and see that, okay, now it was finished, but it was a little bit late. And from Tekla we can see that, okay, the completeness percent is 100, so we're finished. But like I mentioned, a little bit late, on the 2 days late maybe. And what does it mean on the big office side? We get back to the general schedule, the workflow chart. It's a little bit fuzzy, but let's see. So now we can import the actual dates from Tekla structures back to Vico Office. And let's see what happens. Now we're just importing some XML file that, okay, these are the dates, we started this day, we ended this date. But what is the effect for the whole project schedule? So Vico Office has this forecasting feature that it will see that, okay, if we are a little bit late, probably the next task we're also late, because we probably cannot start the planet. So it will show that we will actually be late on the whole project, even after 1 year. If we zoom a little bit here, we can see that, let's see. So we can see daily level here that, okay, we're, like I added the information in Tekla structures, we can see that we're late here. The red balls can here, or circles can show you that, okay, we're late, and it will affect that this will be late, and the next task also starting a little bit late. So the whole project is late. We should do something. We can increase the resources, we can make it work a little bit later, but we need to take time that we can stay on our planet schedule. So let's make a summary then. The general schedule is for optimizing duration, resource, and tasks. So what have we done in Vico Office was that we calculated the quantities, we put how many resources, workers we need, and then we get the duration and what are dependencies between these tasks. Then we went to Tekla structures to do more detailed weekly or daily level plan. This is really important that you can follow your progress on weekly or daily level to make sure that you stay on time. And like we saw in SIPO's logistics center, it's not only the installation, it's also the design and fabrication. If the design is late or the fabrication late, it will affect the installation also. And like I already showed, Vico Office also connected to Trimble Connect with the cloud. So you can publish your schedules or cost estimates and get the models straight from the Trimble Connect. Thank you, and I will be there during the coffee break that you can come and see Vico Office or Tekla Structures or Trimble Connect live.